Hey yo, what up gang? It's your boy MG the producer and I'm back with a new video. This time I'm going to be going over Impc 2 for the iPhone. Now this program has been getting a lot of slack from members on the board and members on the group. I'm not exactly sure why. A lot of people prefer BM3, don't get me wrong. I'm also a fan. I'll be doing a video on that one as well very shortly. But this video is going to be about Impc and why it is pretty much amazing, to be honest with you. So let's go ahead and get started here. First and foremost, I'm going to be using a couple of different applications along with Impc. It's going to be a couple of AIs and a couple of audio units. So let's go ahead and get started here with a blank canvas. So when you get started here with the Impc 2 pretty much software, this is going to be your front layout. You have your 16 pads, you have your transport button pretty much on the corner where you have your record, your stop, and your play. This button that's next to it, that's called play and song, that's going to give you the ability to be able to switch between patterns and sequences. There's a lot here in the front, so let's go ahead and get started on breaking everything down. Okay, so when I asked some questions on the MPC gang group, pretty much one of the things was, how do you bring sounds and samples into Impc Pro 2? There's a couple of different ways. You can sample some sounds, and you can also go ahead and drop some sounds in from your computer or from another device. Let me go ahead and show you exactly what kind of tools you're going to need to be able to do that. It does require a third-party software, but I believe this method is a lot better, efficient, cheaper than your alternatives, where I've seen a lot of people kind of connecting cables and wires and stuff to their iPads and iPhones to be able to sample from YouTube. We're not going to be doing that at all. We're going to be using a couple of applications that's going to allow us to be able to maneuver kind of like we would if we were working standalone and we wanted to sample off of YouTube. Stay tuned. Let's go ahead and break some stuff down. All right, let's go ahead and discuss some of the programs that you're going to need to download. One of them is going to be this one here, Koala Sampler. If you have not heard about it, I've done a video on it before, and one of the most amazing features that it offers is going to be the ability to be able to import videos and be able to grab that content and turn it into a audio track. So let me go ahead and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Turn the phone sideways. Let's go ahead and do import video. We'll go ahead and grab this one here. We'll hit choose, and it's going ahead and grabbing audio from this clip and converting it, and it lives now in Koala Sampler. Okay, so alright, so what you're able to do from this point is be able to go to the sample. Let's go ahead and stop it again. So when I ask some questions on the MP, you can go to tools and you can hit export, and then you can go ahead and export it as either a raw sample or an edited sample. Edited is basically going to mean you went ahead and tweaked it with like the start and end ports, and raw just pretty much means it's going to be exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be pretty much the way it was recorded. I'm going to go ahead and select edited, and it's going to tell me what's going to be the name of this. I'm just going to call it audio or AUDIO. And then it's going to tell me where do I want to save this to. I'm going to go ahead and save it to my files. Now, if you pay attention here in Koala, I actually have a folder here called Impc Pro 2. So I can go ahead and go into MPC Pro, and I created my own folder and I called it custom. Now in here, I can hit save, and that dropped that sample from that YouTube audio clip. And by the way, I got that clip by doing a screen capture, but that took that audio clip and it dropped it into my files. And now I'm going to be able to access it inside of Impc Pro by going into a blank canvas, pretty much a blank program. Go to tweak. We're going to click this button here called new sound. Now from here we can do a couple of things. We can sample sounds. That's cool. We can hit this button and go 1 2 1 2. Hit stop, and here it is. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. That's cool and everything, but that's not what we're doing here. You can do the turntable thing, which I don't do. I don't have a Spotify account and I don't rock with iTunes. You can do the enter app, which is one great way of doing it, and then you can also do the resample feature. Pretty much resample whatever is pretty much inside of the program. There's nothing really going on now, and I'm not sure why that's pretty much whited out. But what you're going to want to do is actually go ahead and hit cancel, and let's just go ahead and go to this canvas here where it's pretty much blank, and it gives you the ability to hit the word tweak. You have nothing here. It's asking you to create or paste a new sound. So let's go ahead and do that. On your bottom right corner, you see a little folder called sounds. Now, if you look here, you have an indication to search for sounds. We're going to go ahead and go down here where it says all sounds in the very bottom here. Now from all sounds, it's going to give you your sample packs if you have any installed. And then you're going to want to come down to one called custom. Right now I have 19 different samples in here. But the top one is called audio. And if you see here on the top, here it is. You click on it, you can listen to it. Okay, so when I ask some questions, okay, so what you're going to be able to do now is be able to grab that sample and just drag it and drop it. Okay, so when I ask some questions, hit the double stop. Now go back to parameters. You need to get out of your sounds menu, go back to parameters. Then you can click over here to edit sound, and you're able to start chopping your sample and doing what you would like to do with it. Chop it into multiple pieces or do whatever you would like. So that's one way to be able to get sounds into IMPC 2. But there's another way as well. And that doesn't require anything to do with Koala Sampler. That doesn't require anything to do with doing screen captures and getting stuff from YouTube or other audio sources. This is going to be the right way to be able to drop files and samples into your iPhone or your iPad and be able to import it into the program to be able to kind of, get busy the way that you would inside of your MPC. Hold on tight. I'm going to bring that video to you guys shortly. 1 second. All right, guys. So one of the most amazing softwares that are out there available for the iOS platform is going to be this one right here called AudioShare. This is the program that we're going to use to be able to drop files back and forth between our computer and our iPhone or our iPad. That way we can be able to transfer samples back and forth and make it a seamless process. This is what we're going to do. We're going to actually open it up here. If you take a look at my program, I have 2 folders. One of them is called drum kits. One of them is called samples. The other one is called iTunes file sharing. Down here at the bottom, you have 4 different buttons. They're different colors. Red for recording. You can come in here and you can actually record some vocals. You can add some effects to it, and you can be able to record sounds into your device and be able to store them and put them in a different location. Another one here is going to be audio paste. You can go ahead and go audio copy like you have previously, and you can go to drop all your samples and sounds into here or vice versa. And then my favorite feature of them all is going to be the blue icon down here, and it's going to be the Wi-Fi one. So as of right now, you can see here that my Wi-Fi drive is not running. What we're going to do is enable it by pressing this button. At the bottom, I was provided a local host IP address. Now all I need to do is go to my PC and type the address that you see below, and that's going to allow my phone and my PC, which is basically a MacBook Pro, to connect to each other and act as if there were one drive on the cloud. So let me go ahead and show you exactly how that looks on the computer end of it. 1 second. So I'm back in front of the MacBook, and if you can see here in the very top of my browser, I typed in the code that was provided to me by AudioShare. Now what that did is actually connect me directly to my phone via Wi-Fi network connection. So if you look here, I have 4 folders that are going to be appearing. What I can do is actually go in here and come and open this sample folder where I showed you guys where I've been dropping my samples to, and you can see some of the samples that I have in here. So at this point, it's very simple to be able to just go ahead and move your screen out of the way, go ahead and pull something up with some samples. I got some drum kits here. It doesn't really matter what you're dropping in here, but for now, I'm actually just going to go and just drop in, let's just say like my vocal tag. So I'll just go ahead and just drop this whole entire folder in here, and bam, there it is. So now everything that was inside of that folder is now going to be inside of my AudioShare inside of my iPhone, and all I had to do was just pretty much drag everything and drop it into the desktop browser here. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. We're going to go ahead and return back to the phone so you can see what it looks like from there. Alright gang, so once you're back inside of your phone, you can go back to AudioShare, and you're going to be able to see in here inside of samples, we do have all the vocal tags that were dropped over by the computer. Sorry, my phone's dying. I'll plug it in a second, but yeah, you can definitely go ahead and see pretty much what's going on the computer, and pretty much what's going on the phone is going to be identical. So that was us dropping samples into AudioShare via, its feature with the Wi-Fi connectivity. Alright, so you dropped your samples in the AudioShare. Now what's next? The cool thing about AudioShare is that you're able to go ahead and just pretty much grab a whole entire folder like this, hold it down, and hit export and share. Now from here, you can actually come all the way down to where it says save to files. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and go to my IMPC folder. I'm going to go to the MPC Pro folder. I have a folder called customs, and in here I'm actually going to go ahead and drop and save all those samples that were in that folder into that customs menu. That way I can be able to access them inside of IMPC2. Hold on tight, I'm going to show you exactly how that's done. Alright guys, we're back in IMPC Pro, and I pretty much am going to be back in the tweak section under the sounds menu, and as you can see here under all sounds, we do have our folder called custom. We have 19 samples inside of it now, some stuff that I used previously. We also dropped the whole entire folder in here, guys. Here it is. Let's go ahead and open it up, and you can see we have some drum breaks in here, some of my vocal tags, as I mentioned earlier, that I was going to be dropping in here. So it's very simple, guys, to pretty much go ahead and grab something like this vocal tag of mine and go ahead and drop it to any pad you just choose, and
MG the producer.
there it is. So just that simple, guys. Go back to parameters. Now we're in a menu where pretty much we could edit our sample. We can go ahead and adjust the tune. We can adjust the pan. We can also go ahead and adjust the levels. We can go ahead and swipe, and we can adjust the filter. Pretty much we can add duck to it. We can also go ahead and add some resonance. In this section, we can also add, pretty much what kind of effects we like to add in here. Some drive, some ring, or some crush. On the very top with the different colors, you're going to see a section called mute groups, and this is going to be the place where you're going to be able to pretty much set up your mute groups. So check it out. So okay, so we're going to want these to be able to cut each other off, so you give them the same color. Okay, so when I ask them, so now they all will cut each other off. Very simple. We'll come back with some more stuff. Alright guys, I'm going to show you guys another way that I like to get some inspiration. So I'm going to go ahead and go down here to track. I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to insert an audio unit. I'm going to come up here to the top where it says tap to load, and I'm going to be loading up this 909. And you can actually go ahead and come down here to song, change your bars to 1, come back down here to tweak, and now you actually have a little 909 step sequencer that you can play with. Let me go ahead and show you guys pretty much what you can do here. I'm going to go ahead and load up a patch, so it sounds like a record will be the one I load up. So you can also go ahead and do something like this, like you can create a sequence. It's going to copy the same tempo that you have here, so it's going to be synced up. And now you kind of just pretty much gave, the IMPC Pro 2 software a step sequencer, which it kind of does have, like, don't get me wrong, piano rolls and etc., and you can kind of do this, but it's a lot easier to be able to have a step sequencer like this, kind of give you that red drum / 909 workflow. And this is another way I like to be able to get, sounds and samples out, because what I can do as well is hit play. Alright, cool. So then we can come back down here to perform, go to track. We're going to add a new track, and we're actually going to go ahead and add a regular drum track this time. Go back down here to tweak. We're going to add a new sound, and we're going to change it down here to resample. So when I hit play, you can see the meters moving here. It's as easy as going in and hitting the record button, and so if you can imagine, if you were actually going ahead and using that program to be able to just take some of the samples out of it, you can pretty much just resample it into the MPC and be able to get some 909 sounds and a bunch of cool kits. So from here, we can go ahead and do something like chop it up based off of, slices. We can do an auto chop pretty much based off a threshold. I'm going to go ahead and do the threshold one just to play around. Once you're done, you can hit the done button here. And now we have that pretty much chopped up. Take a look here. Didn't chop it up the best. I wasn't expecting it to, but as you can just see, it went ahead and just, did its job, what it was supposed to do. So that's another way to be able to get sounds and samples inside of the IMPC. Alright guys, so another thing that I like to do is I actually go ahead and like to use screen captures to be able to sample other applications that do not play nicely with the IMPC. So check this out. I have Zenbeats by Roland loaded up here on my phone. I'm actually going to go ahead and do a screen capture of this because it has some really cool sounds. So let's go ahead and do a new song. I like to move this all the way up, and then now we can actually load up some of their patches. Some of them are really, really cool. I actually really like, let me see, the trap kit. It's just basically 808s and stuff, so check it out. Real awesome here. So boom. So I go like this. Now let's go ahead and bring that into Impc. Alright guys, we're back in Koala Sampler. We're going to go ahead and take advantage of the import video section here. We're going to go ahead and come and load up this video. So as you can imagine guys, it's pretty much pretty self-explanatory. You can pretty much go ahead and give them a chop here. And you can go ahead and bring this back into Impc. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. I'm actually going to go ahead and use the tools. I'm going to use the export. I'm going to go ahead and do an edited sample this time around. I'm going to call this Roland Sounds. I'm going to hit OK. And where I'm going to save it to, I'm going to save it to Files. I'm going to load up my Impc folder. It's already going to bring me to my custom one. Hit save, close this out, bring up Impc. Let's go ahead and go to the sounds page. Let's go back to the customs, and we should have that new sample that we pretty much just dropped in here. So it's going to be Roland Sounds. So let's go ahead and go to sample. Oops, sorry. Let's go to Roland Sounds, drop it here. Guys, another amazing thing to do is actually use Koala Sampler as your effects processor. Very similar to what an SP404 does for the MPC users out there. You can really get some lo-fi sounds. So this is what I like to do as well. You can pretty much go ahead and grab your sample. This is what it sounds like raw with no effects on it. You can actually come down and add some effects. Add some compression, make it dirty. Add a little bit of talk box to it, maybe a little bit of reverb. Now let's go back and listen to that sample. All right, we're changing it. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of I know it doesn't sound pretty, guys, but say this is the sample that you guys want to go ahead and use. Now we go back to Impc Pro. Now we're pretty much going to be in this section here. This is going to be your tweak section. We're actually going to go ahead and add a new track up here. And that new track is going to be a drum track. We just want to get to this menu where it says tweak. We're going to add a new sound, and in this area we're going to move to the section that says interact. From here we can go ahead and then choose Koala Sampler, and then we can hit the record button. It's going to wait for something to be able to play out of Koala Sampler before it starts to record something in that sample slot. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Load up Koala, go to samples, and sounds horrible because it's actually connected through Ableton Link, guys. So I'm very sorry about that, but this is just pretty much just for learning purposes. Here it is, guys. So samples way over here. Once again, like I said, it does sound horrible, but that's another way to be able to get sounds and samples into the MPC, Impc, and it's actually pretty amazing because now you're actually using Koala Sampler as an effects processor, and you're getting the same functionality of using an MPC and an SP404 in the power of your pocket. All right, guys, here's another tip that I have for you. That's going to be trying to bring in a sample so that we can be able to do some time pitching on it. So here's what we're doing here. We have this sample that's playing in this sequence. If you take a look at Koala Sampler, it's going to be 2 bars. So what I'm going to do is actually go to Impc. I'm going to go down to song. I'm going to change it down to 8 bars. I'm actually going to load up a instrument track, but let me go ahead and take this off so you guys can see what's going on here. I'm actually going to go and load up an instrument track, or an audio device, I'm sorry. But actually go ahead and choose Interapp and then select Koala Sampler. What that's going to do is basically, since I have Ableton Link connected between both Koala Sampler and Impc, it's going to give me the ability to be able to hit the play button and eventually be able to capture what's playing inside a Koala Sampler. Sometimes you might need to help it, but there it goes. It already did it by itself. So here we go. So right now it's pretty much playing Koala Sampler. The trick is now is to try to get Impc to pretty much play at the same time as that, pretty much. So, or just hit the record button and just hope that you can capture it within that 8 bars. So let's see if we can make some magic happen. I don't think it's gonna play without it, but we can come over here and help it. Let's see. Let's delete this. All right, so now it's playing. Let's record it. All right, we got a snippet of it, so let's go ahead and stop this. As you can see, we now have an audio track. Let's go ahead and go to Koala Sampler, hit the stop on it, and go ahead and head back to IMPC, and now we're dealing with an audio track. I'll show you guys what we can do with this here shortly. Cut off. All right, here we go. So the way that this works is pretty simple. You can see the 4 dots, right? The top is going to be for time stretching. The bottom is going to be for cropping. So if we want to crop, we hit the bottom button or the bottom ball, and we can easily just move here. Boom. Now, there we go. Now we pretty much can go ahead and move this guy to where we would like for it to be. All right, guys. So in order to be able to move your audio tracks around, it's kind of tricky. You got to be able to hold on with one finger to the back menu and use another finger to kind of be able to move the WAV file where you would like for it to go. Since you're able to pretty much scroll, it makes it hard to be able to do both at the same time because both items want to move. So you got to kind of lock in the grid with one finger, and then with another finger, you're able to move around the WAV file. But let's listen to what we have so far. As you can see, it's not fully 2 bars. So we can actually go ahead and do the time stretch feature. Go ahead and click on it. We have our balls. Remember, the bottom one's going to be for cutting and cropping, and then the top one's actually going to be for time stretching. So we can get rid of some of this since we know that's a duplicate. Then we can grab the top, and now we're actually going to stretch out the sample. And we can stretch it to 2 bars. Hit play. Perfect. Now we got a perfect 2 bars. All right, guys, so we've been talking about how to get sounds in here. Now let's go ahead and talk about pretty much the sample engine. Something about the IMPC Pro software sounds really good in my ears. Check this out. I mean, they really did a good job. So let's go ahead and talk about some of its functionality now. So once you're actually getting some of these sounds in here, let's go ahead and go to this one here. Like, it's a long enough sample. It's kind of annoying. I'm sorry, guys. But here's what we can do with it. We can pretty much adjust our start and end points. That's no problem there. I really like this feature down here where you can pretty much audition from the left. You can audition from the right. This makes it really useful when you actually really do have a loop, especially the audition from the right, because it lets you know pretty much if you have that perfect loop. But this is going to be us kind of just, holding the loop here and kind of just getting the perfect trim. Then you can hit this pencil here. This is going to give you some more functionality. You can do audio copy. You can do audio paste. Audio paste basically just means, just like the NPCs, you can actually grab a sample and paste it anywhere within another sample. Pretty cool feature. It's actually pretty amazing that it's actually available here in the IMPC. You can cut, you can copy, you can duplicate. You can also discard the ends. You can actually go ahead and come in here and do something like a fade out, a normalize, an amplify, and a reverse. But yeah, pretty much that's something that we can go ahead and do here. Everything that does happen inside of this software is non-destructive. So even if you actually do destruct something, it just creates a new sample. And your original one has not been affected. You can actually go back to your sound source and pretty much go ahead and grab that sample and bring it back into your over here. You can actually go ahead and hit cancel. If you don't like what you pretty much did there, let's go back to edit that sample, and I'm going to show you guys how you can pretty much chop the pads. Here you can pretty much drag your finger and select how many samples you want. It can be 16, it can be 64. It doesn't really pretty much matter. You can really go to your heart's content on sampling, just like you would inside of an NPC. I think it's pretty sick that you have all that functionality available to you here on your iPhone. You can also use something called auto. What this is going to try to do is just try to grab some thresholds and some transits and try to make the best judgments of where to chop your samples. Another cool feature, I don't really use it that much. And then you also do have slice loop, where you can just pretty much grab a loop of a song and kind of be able to have it, loop over in that section. So I think that's another cool function that you do have available on the IMPC software. I think the sample engine here is pretty much amazing. So let's see what we can do. So we have a drum. We can tune by double clicking. Now this menu pops up here, giving you better control over your semitones. So as of right now, we can pitch things down. We can pitch things back up. Oop, double click. Sorry. We could pitch things back up this way. Sorry, guys. We can control levels. That's no problem. We can actually go ahead and do some pan. That's that's not an issue at all either. We can actually tell whether we want it to be a one shot, whether we pretty much want it to be a sample that we're going to hold down, just like on the MPC. You can actually go ahead and swipe with your finger left and right. So now we're pretty much leaving the amplitude section, going to the filter section. Here you can go ahead and add some, some low pass and high pass. You can add the duck pretty much effect on here, some resonance. Over here is going to be a track muse. This is where you're going to be able to grab your samples and be able to have them cut each other off. So if I give this a blue color and I give this a blue color, they should be able to cut each other off just like on the MPC. So I think that's amazing as well. You do have effects available, so you can go ahead and give it some overdrive, you can give it some ring, give it some crush. The drive does have some presets that you can pretty much choose from, so that's pretty cool. So there's a couple of different things that you can pretty much do when it comes to the sound of your samples. Once you have them inside of IMPC, you can go ahead and do a lot of different things with them, and I think that's pretty amazing. So that's a little bit of the functionality of the sample engine and what can be done inside of this thing here. At the end of the day, I mean, if you're a boom bap producer or even just a sample based producer, this pretty much has everything that you need. You have banks here. I mean, your bank A, B, C, and D, just like in the MPC. So when it comes to obviously sampling into the MPC, and when it comes to actually wrangling the samples in the MPC, so far, the IMPC has not cut any corners. So let's go ahead and continue moving forward with some of the features that are found inside of this program. Alright guys, so we're back. Let's talk about some more functionality when it comes to the IMPC, because there's still so much more to be covered here. What we're going to be doing here is actually discussing the tracks here. Let's go ahead and start actually building something here so we can actually start making the beat. So first things first, let's actually go ahead and come over here where it says tracks. And you can see here that I only have one track available for use here. And if you can see next to this little pencil icon, I can rename what the track is, but more importantly next to it, you can actually see there's 16 pads. From here, you can actually go ahead and change your track type. So right now we're in a drum track. If we want to, we can change it to an audio track, to an audio unit track. So that's one thing to pretty much be a useful tip, because it was really eye-opening for me when I discovered that I was able to actually change my track type from here, because I did struggle with that for a little bit. I could see that being frustrating to somebody who doesn't know how to change that track. Kind of makes you feel like you're stuck, and the program only allows you to create a track type once and that's it forever, but that's not necessarily the case. You can actually go ahead and change it from here, so that's a useful tip. So yeah, let's actually go ahead and get started here and show you guys a little bit when it comes to pretty much making a song. We're going to come over here in song mode. That's the only place to be able to change the amount of bars. So when you're in song, keep in mind it doesn't mean that the changes that you make here only applies to song form. This is actually going to be where your tempo and everything needs to be changed for your patterns as well. So the button that's going to be up here is going to be blinking green when it's in song mode, and black or pretty much off when it's not. So that's going to be differentiating the difference between a song and a pattern. So let's go ahead and get a tempo here that we like. We're going to go and change this down to, I don't know, something that we can rock with, like maybe let's just do 94. So let's go ahead and do a tempo on 94. We're at 4 bars. Up here is going to be our transport, so we can actually go ahead and start recording over here in our performance mode. So let's actually go ahead and come up here and load up a kit. This time we're going to take the Urban Trap kit. Alright, so we're actually going to go ahead and bang out a little something here, so let's go ahead and get going. Alright, so we're actually going to go ahead and do some hi-hats next. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn on my note repeat. I'm going to turn it on 1/8. I'm actually going to go ahead and come over here to 16 levels, do it on velocity. And instead of doing hi-hat rolls, I'm actually going to go ahead and I can go to my timeline and I can see that I messed up somewhere. It's going to be down here where the kick's at. I mean, it's not a big deal. I can go ahead and fix it later, or I can fix it now. Let's go ahead and see. So this is going to be our kick. Yep, it is. Let's go ahead and drag you here, and just like that, we fixed it. So here we are. So you can do some cool things pretty much with sequencing. So I'm just going to keep on rocking here. So we're going to go ahead and stop this, and I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new track and show you guys audio units. So in here is going to be where we can go ahead and choose an audio unit to be able to produce the music. So in here, I'm actually going to click on where it says tap to load. I'm going to be bringing up Digitialism. Let's just... Alright guys, so I went ahead and loaded up a patch called Bass and Bass from Digitialism. And if you notice here underneath the main volume knob, you're going to see a little blue button. It's going to have white arrows facing up and down. Go ahead and click on that. That's going to give you the ability to go ahead and open up the Impc virtual keyboard that it comes with. I think it's pretty dope because it actually gives you the ability to pretty much be able to see you know, your keys a lot better. You can actually go ahead and zoom in, do left and right. You can actually go ahead and choose this button here if you would like to scroll to be able to see some of your keys. So I think that's a pretty dope feature. Alright, cool. So we got a cool little sequence going on here. We can go ahead and hit this mixer button here, and that's going to go ahead and give us the ability to be able to mix out some of our tracks. So alright, cool. So alright, we got something going on here. Let's actually go ahead and come over here to our tracks. We can come down here and we can add a new one. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add a new drum track and go ahead and give this a little bit more flavor here. So let's go back to performance. Our drum track is empty, and now we'll go back to the Pro Packs. And no, actually no, we will use let's go ahead and use we'll use the raw cuts one, and there you go. I want to be able to bring in some more percussion, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this sound down. Go to tweak, go to level. Alright guys, so we're back in the program. I found an 808. I like it, but it sounds kind of boring. So what we're going to do is actually come over here to our effects section, go ahead and turn on drive, and go ahead and turn the boost up a little bit. Double click it. Let's go ahead and turn it up to maybe about 40. That's maybe a little bit too much. 26 works just fine. Let's go ahead and get that in the sequence. Once again, guys, I'm not trying to make anything amazing. I'm just kind of just showing you guys the way that the program works. At the same time, just putting together a beat while I do so. So here we go. We have a little something going on here. One thing that I haven't showed you guys yet, that now we can kind of play around with the beat, is we have this section here that's very familiar to the MPC X and the MPC One and the live. So we can touch our screen here and give it a low pass filter. You can give it a high pass filter. So then it's pretty dope. You can do stop. So once again, you can do some kind of performance stuff, messing around with the MPC, and all this stuff can be recorded. Hi. Do that, it's actually going to show you guys a little bit of the mixer, since I do want to kind of go ahead and mix some of this, so go ahead and get with it. So you're going to be able to see the banks as you would expect. If you click on this button here where you see it lit blue, and it says mix right next to it, if you click effects, you can see here there's already effects that are going to be built in to the mixer. As of right now, we're on track 1, so this is going to be the effects that are going to be present for this track. So we have a reverb and some delay and some chords and some flangers. So that's pretty dope that you don't have to actually add these effects to the mixer. They're automatically here for you, so you can go ahead and start adding some of this to your tracks if you would like to. You can also go ahead and come down here and select an effect, but we're not going to do that here. If you click next to effects to send, you can see here you have the ability to pretty much be able to control the sends that you are using here. And yeah, this is going to be able to give us the ability to mix some of our tracks here. But let's go ahead and get back to the track. So we're in song mode. So what we're going to want to do is actually go ahead and click down here where it says clone sequence. Right now the sequence is going to be Untitled A, basically is going to be the name of the sequence that we are currently working on. If you look up here, that's what it's called, is pretty much Untitled A. So we're going to come back to song, and we are going to go ahead and do a clone sequence. Now we have another Untitled A, which is dope. So here we are. So let's go ahead and edit the first one, and we'll go ahead and make this more like of an introduction. So let's see what we can do with this here by going to performance, and we're actually going to go ahead and go to track mutes, and we can see our tracks here. Alright, we're going to go to mute out track 1. I can keep going and going on and on and on about the IMPC Pro 2. I'm going to wrap it up, but I'm going to just touch base on a couple of more things here. What do you do once you make a beat, right? You have the little hamburger menu that's going to be right next to your record button. That's going to bring up this menu. It's going to show you your battery life, your CPU of your phone. What you can do a quick save. You can do a save as a duplicate. So if you want to go ahead and save this as a different song because you have different variations, you can do it there. You can save and close out this track and be able to go back to the front menu and be able to load up a different track. You have audio copy features down here, so you can do a mix down, you can do stems, and then you can do a share on YouTube. So when you hit the mix down, pretty much can render audio, and then you can see here it pretty much did it for me there. When it comes to stems, same exact thing. It's pretty much rendering the audio. It pretty much did an auto save for Digitialism. It did some reverbs. It did chorus returns. Pretty much anything that's in here. It kind of saved it out into the folder that this beat is attached to. Then if you come back over here, you have more things like share on YouTube. This would actually connect to your YouTube account, and you can actually go ahead and bounce your beat down into YouTube. If you are one of those YouTube producers, I've been meaning to do that for quite some time, so I will be taking advantage of that feature. Down here, you can do stuff like the Ableton link. You have some MIDI options. You can see down here, you can actually connect some inputs. You can connect some outputs. You do have some different options in here. So if you want to enable, pretty much Bluetooth, I think MIDI. You have support in here. You have documentations, and then you also have a section in here called Impc University. If you actually put your email in here, you'll actually go ahead and get a little free pack, and you'll actually go ahead and start taking lessons upon Impc and becoming more efficient. If I didn't teach you something correctly, you can go there and learn from Akai themselves. Then I hear you actually have the the option of actually going ahead and exporting out for MPC desktop. Make sure that's on because we're all MPC users and we have the software installed on our computers. And then the very bottom one is something that I use all the time. If there's something that I don't like that I did in my beat, the IMPC Pro would actually auto save itself because it expects you to maybe get a phone call or maybe get interrupted in the middle of your usage while using your phone. So it does auto save features for you. You can actually go ahead and hit the close without saving, and it would actually close everything out and bring you back to this screen here. You have a content store, so if you would actually like to come in here and buy some more sounds, you can go ahead and do so by using audio copy. So I think it's a pretty well built, laid out software by Retronyms. I really think that Akai knocked it out of the park by really capturing the essence of the MPC, and it seems very, very stable. I haven't had any kind of crashing or anything like that. I also do use Beatmaker 3, and that does have some audio dropouts for some reason. Every once in a blue moon, it just stops playing audio. I have to do a closeout. Sometimes it will not open back up, and I have to kind of do a restart on my iPad, and then I can reopen Beatmaker 3. But the IMPC Pro 2 software has been rock solid. I have not had any crashes or anything going on with it. So that's going to be my review when it comes to IMPC Pro. Hopefully this taught you guys some things, and this gets a lot better reputation and review out there from other MPC users. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscription button for me. If you enjoy this content, hit the like button. If you don't like this kind of content, go ahead and hit the down button and leave a comment in the notes upon why you did so. I'm not going to get upset or anything like that. I really just want to have better feedback of what kind of things that you guys would like to see on this channel. I'm actually really digging the iOS production, so that will be coming to the channel. So stay tuned for that, guys. You will be seeing a lot more of IMPC Pro 2. You will be seeing some Beatmaker 3 and some other iPad production software along with the MPCs so that we can be able to modernize our workflow. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out.